Hi guys, I'm Dimension Jumper and today I'll be reviewing God of War, which is a PlayStation 4 exclusive and released in 2018. Now this game is a continuation of the previous God of War games, of like God of War 1, 2 and 3, but it is also an expanding the lore type of game, like it basically continues some of the older God of War games but in a new style. Because basically this game sets place. It is basically set in Norse mythology times, like with the Norse gods like Thor, Odin, Loki, those sorts of gods. And it's basically the main character, Kratos, is basically having a funeral of his wife with his son, because his wife had just passed away, and he was told to scatter her ashes on the on the tallest mountain in all the 9 realms. So it's basically a simple storyline, but it's basically got characters that always get in your way and various other stuff. The main villain in this game is a guy called Baldur, who is a guy who can't get hurt, and that's basically who you're fighting against and who you're fighting against sometime in the game and other stuff. So Kratos and his son Atreus, I quite enjoy how that chemistry works, because Kratos, if you don't know, is a son of Zeus, who's king of the gods and Greek times and that sort of stuff. And I like that dynamic, because Kratos is trying to keep his secrets away from Atticus, Atreus, because Atreus is also part god. And yeah, and I do like how it's Kratos is basically training Atreus into being the best he can, and they do have this sort of good father-son relationship with them. Now they do go around the world, which is Midgard or Earth, and they do meet several characters. Baldur is one of those characters who's basically the main villain of the game. There's also Mime. I've forgotten how to pronounce his name. It's basically this guy who sees all and knows all, and he basically comes around with you, but he's basically a head that you have to take from his body because he was trapped there by Odin thousands of years ago. You also meet a witch called Freya, and she's probably again a really good character, because there's backstory to her a bit, because you're told that she married Odin because of some sort of battle between Odin and the giant or something, and you find out that the wars ended because of how Freya and Odin married, and they basically made a peace treaty. And you also meet the Midgard serpent, which is basically a massive serpent, and I think that's really, really cool, and how big it is, because you get to see everywhere you see in Midgard. We're basically in a lake. It's basically more of a lake you see it in, but it's really big, and it's really kind of intimidating. And the first time I saw it, I thought you would have to fight it or something, but no, you basically have to use it sometimes from time to time. But anyway, I digress. So throughout the game, you do get to battle the various types of monsters and such stuff. So you get to fight Draga, several troll type enemies, some gods, and they all are pretty cool, because not only can you use your fists, but also you've got a new weapon in this game called the Leviathan Axe, and the Leviathan Axe kind of works how Mjolnir works in the Marvel movies, because every time Kratos throws the Leviathan Axe, you can always summon it back. And I find that to be quite OP, because if you're a certain distance away from an enemy, you can basically just throw the Leviathan Axe, just call it back to you, and just keep throwing it back until the enemy's dead. And you can also halfway through the game, I think, use the Blades of Chaos, because there's a part in the game where Atreus unleashes like I think his Spartan rage, and that makes him like sick or something. So Kratos has to like find this thing, like this like heart of like of this guardian guy of like the dead or something in Helheim, which I'll explain later about how Kratos can go to like other realms stuff. But he then gets the Blades of Chaos because no freezing stuff like the Leviathan Axe can actually do anything against the guys in Helheim. So yeah, and also as I said before, like with Helheim, you are able to go to different realms. So like Helheim, something else. It's basically various other realms, but the main place you want to go to, but the whole game's trying to get you to, is Jotunheim, which is basically the place of the giants and basically the tallest mountain peak in all the realms, which is where Loki, Atreus' mother, wants her ashes scattered. And what I like about how like getting to the different realms is that you go to this sort of portal room thing, and it's basically you get to see like this big building type place, and you basically have to like choose the different realms you want to go to. So let's say if you want to go to Helheim, you basically have to turn this dial thing until you goes onto Helheim, and then you go there, and it's really cool. It's kind of like slightly better than the Rainbow Road type thing in the Thor movies, but yeah. And now it's time for some gameplay. Now I think the gameplay is quite cool because not only can you like switch out from like your not only can you use your Blades of Chaos, but you can also switch out to your Leviathan Axe, and you can also like use like different abilities of them. So you can like freeze enemies like this. Again, then you can like basically hit them before they hit you back. And it's just like, really cool. And also, I want to say, and you can also like, use this, your Spartan rage. It's basically like hit enemies like quicker and basically get rid of them like easier. And there's so many that are like basically stone, and you basically just don't need to fight really because they're really nothing. And I think like the Blades of Chaos have like a bit less of a reach than the Leviathan Axe, because Leviathan Axe can basically just go quite a long way before like that. I just think like the Blades of Chaos like they are good, but they don't have that reach like the Leviathan Axe has.
In the walls up here show signs of recent dragon activity.
We already killed that dragon.
Ah, did you then? Well, how'd that go?
And also you can also have Atreus fire arrows, and it can like you got like your shock arrows and like your light arrows, and you can basically have them like hit like certain objects like this. Oh, of course the chain reaction, which I think is quite cool. And that has been the gameplay for the game. It's time to go back to the review. So what I like about this game is that not only do you basically fight some of the Norse gods within the game, but you can also upgrade some of your stuff. So you can not only can you upgrade, you know, the Leviathan Axe or Atreus' bow, but you can also upgrade the Blades of Chaos and your armor. And I think that's quite cool because of how they collect like certain collectibles. Like you might need like a certain material or a certain amount of money or whatever to like upgrade your stuff, and I think it's kind of like ingenious because of where you go to, because you might not be able to get like collect one material if you're on this part of the game, but it has to go to another part of the game to collect that certain material. And also the only way to upgrade your stuff is by speaking to these two dwarf brothers who throughout the game said that they are basically not who they used to work with each other, but now they've like separated because of some sort of feud or something. And they say, okay, I'm gonna help upgrade you this, but you can't have my brother, or something like that. It's kind of confusing, but yeah. And they all like you can also like get certain combos. So for example, you might have the Leviathan axe, and it might help you like free certain enemies like with a certain like attack or something, or a certain hit or a certain swing or something. And I think that's really ingenious because of all of these skills and techniques and combos. I think that are quite useful for the main story or for any boss fights or whatever. And just like several other games like the Spider-Man games, for Spider-Man PS4 game, or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you can also change the difficulty of the game. So you've got like your easy mode. You've got your sort of it's kind of like well-rounded gameplay in which you basically like get a sort of medium-ish difficulty. Then there's your harder ultimate difficulty, which is basically God of War, which is basically just a really hard version of the game where enemies hit hard, and yeah, that sort of stuff. And for my final verdict of the game, it's quite enjoyable because throughout the game you get to hear stuff about Ragnarok, which is basically the end of worlds or something. And if you've beaten the game and you've gone past the credits, if you sleep back at your house, which is where you start at the beginning of the game, you get to see a cutscene of Thor arriving, and I think that's kind of like a good sort of like thing, because like I would really like to see like the sequel to this particular game, but also like expand on the lore. And if I had a suggestion of what the next God of War game should be, could be called God of War Ragnarok, and that's probably going to be what the next game is going to be called in this series. So yeah, so if you like God of War games, I really recommend getting a PlayStation 4 and getting this game, because you can only get it on the PlayStation 4, and go and enjoy yourself playing this game. It's really enjoyable. So yeah, that's been my review for God of War PlayStation 4. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.